This, yeah.
Islam, the scientific Islamophobia.
Yeah. No, I don't agree. I don't agree with a position saying that we don't need hermeneutics and contextual and historical analysis. I'm doing this. I found out in the text Moses. I don't remember this. The Jewish convert Moses. Anyway, he's from the Middle Ages in Latin. It's in the Patrologia Latina. I don't find it. He is so clear. There are in the Quran positive verses, tolerant verses, like Rafi, and he will mention them in Latin. It's very funny to find this. But he will also mention the others. The verses from Surah 9, verses from Surah 5, the verse of the sword. What are we doing with this? And even in the text of Al-Kindi, we find a method for analysis of these verses. Some verses were earlier, some verses were later. What are you doing with the interpretation? The interpretation is the important thing. Because what are you doing with contradictory verses? They are in the Quran, bold. But if you like modern thinkers, and also this is very funny to find this material already in the 9th century, and then in Latin in the 12th and 13th century, with the method of interpretation of the Quran given by the Muslims themselves. So at the end, you will find that the not tolerant verses have to be given an interpretation contextual, where Muhammad was indeed fighting. And it's in this fight he was saying, okay, we go, let's attack, let's go. But the other verses were the tolerant, the open verses, mostly from Mecca, are the more fundamental verses, and they have priority. And Platti will say that because they are more fundamental principles, and fundamental principles have priority over these very contextual verses. So this is already a very academic analysis, and we have to go that far, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. We have to go that far to understand really when a Muslim will quote a verse from the Quran, what interpretation he gives. I think we can still follow the positive and tolerant interpretation given in the Quran and taken as priority. And Al-Platti gives me the answer to the question.
Darf ich noch was sagen?
Ganz kurz.
Das ist eine interessante Frage. Also ich bin eigentlich nicht der Ansicht, dass sich Allah oder Gott in seiner heiligen Schrift widersprechen darf. Und es gibt auch, so wie ich es gelernt habe, von Koranwissenschaftlern keine, so wie Sie sagen, keine Geschichte des Islam, aber eine Geschichte der Auslegung. Und die Salafi-Reformer, die gehen ja diesen Weg. Die sagen, es gibt solche Verse, wie Sie meinen, aber die sind eben damals für die damalige Zeit übersetzt worden, wo gekämpft wurde, wo sich der Islam durchsetzen musste. Und heute gilt eine andere Auslegung.
Aber Said Qutb will not follow that. He will say we have to fight.
Also ich denke, die Grundfrage ist die Frage nach der Hermeneutik, ja, und nach den Kriterien.
Yeah, that's why I went through all this material. So that at the end you have all the material there, and you can, when you hear something about a Quran verse and so, you can say, oh, this is, I can understand it like that. It's very delicate. It's about hermeneutics interpretation.
Jetzt habe ich noch eine Frage.
Ja, gerade auch, weil Sie sagen, es ist die Frage des Kontextes. Da habe ich jetzt aktuell mich wieder damit beschäftigt, dass im Alten Testament es ja heißt, Gott hat am 5. oder am 6. Tag den Mann und die Frau erschaffen. Und im Neuen Testament heißt es dann, er hat die Frau sozusagen aus dem Rücken von Adam erschaffen. Wie ist das zeitlich einzuordnen? Weil ich habe da jetzt gelesen, die Frau, die im Alten Testament sozusagen gleichberechtigt erschaffen worden ist von Gott, das wäre die Person Lilith. Und Eva ist im Neuen Testament die Frau. Da stelle ich mir die Frage, was ist mit dieser ersten Frau passiert, mit Lilith?
Yeah.
Should I say it in English?
Yeah. No. One of the problems in this. From this point of view, is that the Quran is a very particular kind of book. You cannot compare it with any of the historical or what else you say about Genesis and Exodus and the New Testament. You cannot compare it with these kind of books, because the Quran is more like the Psalms and like wisdom, the wisdom books of the. Now you have to be very careful with this kind of literature form, and that's my only answer to you, because I am convinced. This is a personal conviction as a scholar, but I am convinced that the historical context of the Quran is quite well known. That is very helpful. I'm going against some scholars, modern scholars, but I think that we have a lot of material it's giving us a good idea of the context. We don't know everything. A lot of questions are still open. And this is helping us in another way to understand the Quran than the old books of the Bible.
My question was about what is the contradictory between Old Testament, where there's an egalitarian invention of the human being, and the difference in the New Testament, that the woman is built up on the ribs of the man. This is my question. If you have
I have to answer only about the Quran, actually.
Vielleicht kann ich das kurz richtig
My answer is that the Quran is another kind of book than the books of the Bible, and that we have to see it as like the Psalms or the wisdom literature. This is my answer. The answer what the Quran is saying about Adam and Eve, and that's another question. And it's not in my book.
Well, perhaps you have an idea where I can read it.
Well, perhaps it's not in my book.
Also ich kann das vielleicht kurz richtig stellen. Es gibt schon im Alten Testament diesen Schöpfungsbericht, dass Eva aus der Rippe des Adams genommen ist. Das ist keine neutestamentliche Erzählung, sondern es gibt zwei Schöpfungsberichte im Alten Testament. Und das sind eben zwei unterschiedliche Traditionen. Der eine Schöpfungsbericht ist aus dem 5. Jahrhundert, aus der sogenannten priesterschriftlichen Tradition, und der andere aus dem javistischen Schöpfungsbericht aus dem 8. und 9. Jahrhundert. Also es sind unterschiedliche Weltbilder, die dahinter stehen. Und man kann sicherlich sagen, dass es im Alten Testament sowohl Aussagen gibt, die auf die Gleichberechtigung, auf die gleiche Würde von Mann und Frau hinweisen, als auch Stellen, die sicherlich eine Unter- und Überordnung nahelegen. Ja? Und ganz ähnlich ist es dann auch im Neuen Testament, die diese alttestamentliche Anthropologie natürlich aufnimmt. Ja? Und von Lilith habe ich noch nie was gehört. Herr Pichler.
Das möchte ich auch betonen, dass zwischen Alten Testament und Neuen Testament kein Unterschied ist. Und die Geschichte von Lilith hat mit der Bibel nichts zu tun, sondern das ist eine esoterische, jüdische Überlieferung, wobei ich jetzt nicht als aus Kontexten heraus geschaffen wurde. Und das sollte man die biblische Schöpfungsgeschichte und das biblische Verhältnis von Mann und Frau hinterfragen und hat dann diese Liebesgeschichte aus irgendwelchen anderen Traditionen genommen und quasi eine Gegengeschichte zur Erschaffung der Eva daraus gemacht. Das hat also die Geschichte mit der Bibel nichts zu tun.
Aber vielleicht können wir das noch mal kurz vertiefen und dann Pater Moser. You say in the book that the Islam is a biblical religion. And you show that the spirituality and language of the Quran is very near to the Psalms. Perhaps you can deepen this a little bit.
Well, this is well, if I see the Islamic tradition, something is very strange. Muhammad was proclaiming the Quran to the people of Mecca, who were from the old Semitic religion, actually. And what I see is that he will use, the Quran will use three biblical elements. The central themes of the Quran: monotheism, prophecy, eschatology, are biblical themes. Second, the prophets mentioned in the Quran, 20 are biblical, and they are the most important. Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, Ibn Maryam. The 5 Arabs are just mentioned by name and are not important for the Quran. So there you have. And the prophetical stories of prophets in the Quran as theme is enormous, because I don't remember, I think we have 1,300 verses concerning stories of prophets, and you just have 6,000 and some more verses of the Quran. That's a lot. And the third is concepts, words used are biblical. Jahannam is the most evident for hell, but you have a lot of others. And this is not yet, the scholars are still doing research on this, especially from Syriac background. So, in a certain sense, the Quran will use for its message, because Islam is not Christianity, it's not the New Testament, it's not the Old Testament, but will use this material to present its own message, its own Islamic